President Trump has hit his first 40 days in office, and he's making waves in both domestic policy and in foreign affairs.
From the ceasefire that's now stalled in Gaza between Israel and Hamas to the confrontation with Ukraine's president in the Oval Office last week, there's no shortage of headlines. And we want to bring in former U.S. diplomat Jack Segal to give us some perspective on the issues. Jack, thanks for joining us. To start, let's kind of touch on what do you make of the blow-up between Trump and Putin on Friday?
Yes, welcome, Rachel. I was very discouraged by the meeting between President Zelensky and President Trump because it really made the possibility of negotiating a settlement with Putin in Russia much more difficult. This will be a difficult negotiation, no doubt about that, no matter what is said. But when the new Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, gave away two of our most important bargaining chips, which by saying right off the bat in his first public statement that NATO membership was off the table and removing Russian troops from the areas of 20% of Ukraine that they occupy was also off the table. Even two Republican senators said that was a rookie error. He should not have said that, and now that's one in the back pocket of Putin. And Putin was then expressed delight through his acolytes about how badly the meeting with Zelensky went. We have to get back and recover Zelensky's situation. I think he's ready to offer an apology and 1,000 thank yous for the assistance that he has received from the United States.
Jack?
Go ahead.
Yeah, let me ask you too. I mean, you've done a lot of diplomacy yourself behind closed doors in your professional career. I'm curious, this was just kind of the first time that this became a public spectacle where the conversation was back and forth. But is a blow up like that really all that unusual behind closed doors? Is that just how these conversations
Well, it happens
go?
all the time. Yeah, we used to throw eggs at each other all the time and behind closed doors. And that was under the control of the American side. They simply could have done a photo op saying, now we're going to have a meeting. And they were all set up for a plenary session with a large number of people, and then a lunch, and then another session. None of that happened because nobody on the U.S. side said to the reporters, you're done now, get out of the room, and we'll go to work. It's not uncommon for there to be even shouting matches, but you never do them in front of the cameras because anything that happens in front of those cameras becomes worldwide news and is added to the computations of the negotiators. So now we're in a hole because of this breakdown, and we need to figure out a way out of it. And Zelensky will have to swallow a lot of his pride in order to do that. There's also there were other rookie mistakes. For instance, the vice president's interjection really took the discussion off the rails in front of the cameras. And there was no need to scold Zelensky publicly unless that's a negotiating tactic, which I don't rule out. It may have been.
Right, that was
may have been intentional.
Yeah, that was my question because I was hearing a lot of response on both sides after the fact that this was not necessarily planned, although there are some people who think it was, but more so that it was just a strategic move by Trump, and he's saying if we can sign this deal for rare earth minerals, that puts us in Ukraine, more or less, and that in and of itself is a way to negotiate. But really that there was just a lot of this that was part of his strategic plan. And like you said, you don't rule that out. I mean, what's the level of possibility for that?
Yeah, I think that is a possibility. It would have been better if they'd worked it out among the three of them, the vice president, the president, and President Zelensky, so that it would look less like a catfight in the alley at the back of the Oval Office. But okay, we're past that now, and now we have to get back on track. The Europeans are meeting constantly now to increase the amount of money they are willing to invest, and they have indeed greatly increased their ability to produce ammunition for the weapons that they gave previously to the Ukrainians. So there's a little bit of daylight there. I think the United States wants most of this to be a European effort, but the U.S. can't back away entirely. We provide most of the intelligence, and we provide the logistical support, and we have a headquarters in Germany which coordinates the arrival of all the support that's going into Ukraine. Doesn't get there by magic.
Right.
They have to plan it and sequence it and make sure the ammunition and all other supporting materials are there.
So Jack, when it comes to Ukraine and Russia, what does it take to kind of bring both sides back to the table then?
I think the apology from Zelensky, the statement that this was all a terrible misunderstanding, and I'm sorry. And I love America, and I've given, I forgot to say thank you, which he said apparently 43 times this year in public. But okay, that's the vice president zeroed in on. You didn't say thank you at this meeting. That's very amateurish, I would say.
In our final moments here, Jack, we've got about 2 minutes left, so I want to devote a little time to Israel and Hamas. We know that phase one of the ceasefire expired. There are still 35 we're coming up on 50 hostages, about 24 of them believed to still be alive, that are still out there, and now Israel is cutting off aid in Gaza. What's your outlook on what's going on there as we're kind of in this in-between phase without a ceasefire?
Well, number one, the United States announced today that we're giving $4 billion in additional military aid to Israel. So we've staked out our position. Secondly, the stop the aid was because most of the aid is getting siphoned off by Hamas and then sold on the streets of Gaza. So Israel's saying you got to get control of that. But the big problem in the future, number one, is the meeting today of the Sunni Arab countries in Cairo, and they need to come up with a plan for recovery of the population, rebuilding the infrastructure, and housing for the population while all that is going on. The U.S. position, Steve Witkoff has said, was they should move 2.2 million Arabs to Jordan and Egypt. Jordan said, well, we can't do that, but we'll take 200 children that need medical care instead of 2 million. So we're as far away as you can get, but that's the beginning of a discussion. I think President Trump's proposal of Club Med on the Mediterranean in Gaza is really not looked at as a serious proposal, but who knows?
Well, Jack,
yeah.
No, I was just going to say,
fire is delayed. It's not dead, and it's not, but it's also not on.
Well, Jack, we always appreciate your time. Jack Segal from his home up here in northern Michigan. Always appreciate the insight. Thanks so much for being with us, sir, and we'll catch you again next time with much more on the latest developments.
Pleasure to do it. Thank you.